There's a quote from Jim Rohn that says, disgust is a powerful motivator. And the biggest turning point for me was when I literally couldn't stand what I saw in the mirror. It happened in my early 20s. It wasn't at 14 when you had that. And I was wondering, was there an element of that disgust, or was it just something completely out of left field that led to the weight loss and started to get around the right people and thinking about what you actually wanted to do from life?
Yeah, my childhood was not great. That's the headline. I mean, my father died when I was very young. We grew up really poor. Unfortunately, my mom didn't do well with my father's untimely death, which is like not a surprise. Fortunately, she found herself in a very unhealthy relationship with an abusive drug addict. So those are the conditions I kind of grew up under. So sometimes like it's a semi-sanitized version where I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I grew up eating a standard American diet, and we did grow up poor, and like that's all true. Also turns out that chronic trauma will drive a lot of stress and cause a lot of negative health outcomes. I mean, arguably as much or more than things you're doing on the physical side. They basically they work in concert with each other. The nervous system takes information from how well you're treating your body with your exercise and your food, but it also takes information down from the brain and then tells your body how it's doing. So that combination did create the state of anxiety and insomnia and the weight gain and all those things in my kind of teenage years. So I obviously align and understand the kind of biological principles item of it's like a fact that we move towards pleasure, or things that help us survive, and move towards things that are destructive and pain. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure that without the kind of chronic emotional pain, it would have impacted the motivation level for sure. My gas tank, I guess it can run on a handful of different things, but my gas tank really runs on inspiration. That's when I'm actually doing it. And I think it's also there's neurological reasons for that, right? Because we have two different, and I know I'm tangenting, so if you need me to refocus, let me know. But basically, we've got our limbic system and our neocortex in our brain, right? And they're connected to two different areas of our nervous system. So, and nervous system states. So one is your sympathetic nervous system, is connected to your limbic system, that's your fight or flight. And then there's your prefrontal cortex, which is connected to your parasympathetic nervous system, that's your rest and digest. Kind of more complex, abstract, high-functioning, open-minded strategic thinking is attached to your neocortex. If you're chronically in fight or flight mode, which actually at this point most of the country is, because we've got terrible health and we're having divisive wedge issues shoved in our face all the time, that chronic fight or flight mode, actually makes it very hard to think and calculate and strategize and get to know yourself. So for me, I've never just been able to bank, and I would say even the predominance of what's actually worked for me hasn't been about miring or rejecting. Because the thing that actually flipped me wasn't like, holy shit, this is hell, because my life had always kind of been hell, right? So what flipped me was actually a really simple thought was, this is not going to create a good life. It's just and importantly, I want a good life, right?
Incredible maturity at the age of 14.